It is Saturday again, and this is the Saturday Night Mouse Party. And tonight we have DJ Play Nice. How's it going, DJ?
It's going well. Glad to be here.
And Guns and Barbecue. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thank you for the invite.
And Gun Websites. How are you doing?
Bird Midland, puppy spanking.
Well, it's good. It's a preventative punishment. So.
That's how you keep him in line. Spank him when he's sleeping.
And let me get the banner going. That one there. At the bottom of the screen, there's an email address, untacticalfoss@gmail.com, and a link, and you can submit comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. Also, there's a link for the Gilded server. It's a place to hang out, chit chat, share pictures, memes, and whatnot. You can always get a hold of me there. And most people that come on the chat, you can get a hold of through that too, if you wish. So let's take a quick peek, see who was out there.
I heard that you're no longer taking pictures of 9mm items based on what happened a couple weeks back.
Well, they will be reviewed case by case.
Oh, what I miss?
So
you'll have to watch every episode a couple of weeks back to find out.
DJ Play Nice was first, and Rumble Vulcan, Wesley Foster, Hillbilly Up, and Bubba Triclops, Ballistics, X Adam 1. Yeah, X Adam sent me a picture of the Smith & Wesson 500 Bear Survival Kit. He's like, well, you were talking about this, weren't you? And it's like, yeah, but I cannot afford those.
Sounds like a good guy.
G23's out there. Good evening. Michael Dunn, M. Gabriel. Good evening to all of ye. So let's go. There's a link in the chat for this week's poll. So if you haven't voted in the poll, head over there and vote. And we'll call it up here.
I feel like Barbecue's avatar is shooting at mine and mine is catching it.
Oh, you're blocking it. So this week's poll was best cracker. Graham cracker, Ritz cracker, animal cracker. Yes, I know animal crackers are kind of cookies, but the way they're made in layers, and cookies are not. That's why they're called animal crackers.
What do you mean layers?
Yep, they're layered like a cracker. That's why they're called animal crackers.
What do you mean crack? What do you mean layered?
I don't know how to explain it. It's just I've heard that from watching one of the shows about food, and the company that made animal crackers explained that's why they're called animal crackers. Saltine crackers and firecrackers.
So you're telling me that if we 3D printed a cookie, it would actually be a cracker?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think they do.
Mind blown. Just mind blown.
Got to call in the cookie and cracker judges on that one. Need an expert opinion.
Sounds like Ross is the expert. I'll take his opinion.
And Ritz crackers took it 31%. I kind of figured that. Firecracker came in second, 28%. And saltines are 18%. Animal cracker and graham cracker tied at 12%.
It says on the internet that animal crackers have their own day, April 18th.
Oh, missed it again.
Doesn't everything have its own day now?
I don't know. I feel like graham crackers should have been higher. Like there's something about graham crackers where you just dip them in milk until they just go slightly limp, and then you pull them out before they fall apart, and then eat the soggy graham cracker. It's amazing.
I don't like dipping cookies in milk. I like cookies and I like.
Well, that's
milk.
good because that's a cracker, not a cookie.
But I don't like. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't. Other than cereal, I don't really dip anything in milk. But Looking at the comments, Fine Ape said Cheez-Its. The goddamn bacon said, wait, is firecracker an actual cracker? Also, why do I feel somewhat racist asking this? Brightness ensues. Gun websites thought it was a tough one. Two Live Moose said chicken and a biscuit. I like chicken and a biscuit crackers, except the powdery flavor coating. It's really messy.
It is, but those things are so good.
Mike White said Cracker Jack. Or what about Cracker Jacks? I like Cracker Jacks except for the peanuts. It's unpleasant when you bite into the hard coated peanut when you're eating Cracker Jacks, I think. And the Aaron Ritter said the Florida cracker. Gun Scholar 45. I just never could get into Ritz crackers. I don't know why. Hillbilly Up. I had to go with Firecracker since Club Cracker and Uncle Cracker wasn't an option. DJ Play Nice is tap dancing with Bojangles on the Good Chip Lollipop. In every bowl of soup I see, lions and tigers watching me. And Daniel, God is my judge, said Disc Cracker.
Right on. I like the humor that spread through the comments like that. Usually the responses are a little bit more like sedate or brief, and like people working their comic take on stuff like that. I appreciate it. It's a great bunch of comments.
I probably, for every day, I would go with Ritz crackers. My favorite is the Cabaret. They're made by, I think Brenton makes them. It's a kind of a larger, they say on the box, they describe it as a creamy cracker. But that's what, if I'm going to put like a slice of meat on a cracker and cheese, those are what I prefer to have. Or if I've got the cheese in a can.
Ooh, yeah. Squeeze cheese, man.
And I think the cheese in a can, either I like the one with bacon or the sharp rather than the American.
Yeah, I lean towards the sharp. The bacon one, like maybe when I was a kid kind of thing, when you were still like hanging the can above your mouth and draining the whole thing kind of deal. But yeah, the extra sharp, man, I'll still do that every once in a while as a treat. And I'm with Hillbilly. Like the reason that I would have a club cracker over a Ritz, I dig the flavor of a Ritz, but a club cracker will stand up to some weight. It's like it just seems like Ritz crackers are kind of crumbly. They don't want to hold quite as much.
Between a club, is that the oval one?
No, it's the ones that are rectangles.
Rectangle.
Oh, but they're like a Ritz, but they're like shaped like a cell phone. Okay.
They're kind of the poor person fancy cracker.
No, I get you. They're made the same way as a Ritz, but they're like they're not a little fancy circle.
They're just more dense. Yeah.
I'm glitched on this animal cracker thing. I never thought about it before, but it says that the only thing I get is vagueness that says that animal crackers are made the same way with a layered dough, like what are those things called that have layered dough, like croissants and stuff?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've eaten animal crackers before, and I don't ever remember it tasting any different than a cookie to me. So now I feel like I want to go get some animal crackers and see if they taste any different than.
Well,
I'm used to the ones out here that are. Oh man, they're not the same kind of things as those Barnum ones. Those Barnum ones or whatever, are like in a little box that looks like a circus thing. Like those kind were almost like graham crackers. Out here, they're in a big bag, like the bulk cereal, and they're puffy. Like every one of them is puffy, like a goldfish cracker, except they're like a sweet goldfish cracker. That's what they are. So maybe that's why they're crackers, because it puffs like that, and the ones from Barnum just never bothered.
That could be. And between brands, there's probably a different flavor, but the texture is probably going to be the big difference between a cookie.
When you get the ones that are in the Barnum ones that are in the box from Nabisco that are in that, what I'm talking about, like I haven't ate those since I was a kid, but they're not puffy, like in the center is hollow, are they? Okay.
No.
Because then they'd be like oyster cracker. Like they're a sweet oyster cracker, essentially, the ones that are out here. but I figured they were just the Mexican ones, like because I get them at a cheap store, so I figured they were just the the Mexican versions of animal
Like the
crackers or something.
Gamesa, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yucca Mesa. Yeah.
They're super good. They're just they're just different, right? They're like I'm saying, they're like a goldfish, like a sweet goldfish cracker.
And speaking of the layers, not only have I never heard that, but I've never noticed there being a layered effect in them, sort of thing. It just seems like more cookie-ish in its composition, interior composition. Does that make
I
sense?
really like them though. I mean, they're good to like take along camping or hiking or something because they're dense. You got a lot of satisfaction from eating them, and they're not huge.
I have not studied them, but it might be like the Barnum ones are just made like a cookie rather than being layered, and then they just call them.
It sounds like
I don't
that's
know.
the original ones, though. I didn't do that one.
Oh.
I've just been looking, but I think those are the original ones from the ones that came to the United States. They were from England, so that's why they're such a messed up food.
Because I have had ones that were a little drier than those ones, and I guess flakier. But I couldn't tell you what brand it was. It's kind of a vague memory.
Yeah, well, and they're little boxes of those Barnum ones that imitates an animal train car or whatever it is, and had the little white string handle. I can remember thinking that was really super cool, and like walking around with a cracker box.
Yeah,
it says that on the internet. It said there's 6,000 miles of thread. That's how many boxes of animal crackers they make each year. 6,000 miles of thread worth. For that little piece of thread on the box, it's 6,000 miles each year. Isn't that crazy? That's how much, and that's all a bunch of wheat and a bunch of trees got chopped down. That's just for animal crackers. It's just one kind of cracker. So I live in the future now. I got a bunch of lights that have robot eyeballs on them, and then they turn on when I go outside at night. So now I can just walk around with the dogs. I don't have to take a flashlight or nothing. Robots just wait for me to go out there and then turn themselves on. It's like being in a holodeck or whatever. Getting away from cookies, I guess, trying to spin it off.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go back. Adam, well, I was talking about the Bearcat. He was saying it was only $6,000 for that. Here, I've got a. Let's see. Here's a picture he had sent me earlier. It's kind of one of those things that I would love to have, but I will never have. Oops. There we go. I've got the Smith & Wesson M360 survival kit. And then there's the 500, there's a 460. There's when I was poking around today after you sent me this email, I was looking at stuff online. There was a Sigma version, and I don't think it was a 686, but something like that version. And I'm thinking there's at least one more that can't think of.
Do you know how long those kits have been in production? How long have they been around?
For a while, especially if they made a Sigma version.
I remember when those came out. I would buy one every month as an investment. I did that for about 25 months, and I had about 25 of those things, but they got all wet and rusty, so I threw them away.
Well, they are not the. Other than the gun, everything else is not really that good. I mean, they're cool. That's the big thing. I bought it just for the gun. It's like because I wanted the snub nose that was in it, but that was back when everything dried up and you couldn't find anything, and revolvers all disappeared. And I wanted the snub nose, so I bought the survival kit to get the snub nose.
I remember the first time I looked at one that caught my eye was in 2006 at SHOT Show, so they've definitely been around for a while. Like the first time I was like, wait a minute, they make, I think it was the orange handle or grip for it, and I was walking past them, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a manufacturer with an orange grip? And then it caught my eye. I don't think they were putting them in a case back then, though. I think it was a few years later before they put them in a case with this stuff.
Yeah, I replaced I ended up replacing the orange grip with a Hogue, a black Hogue grip, so you could shoot it, because the 360 is an air weight and it is brutal. And then you can see they got 2 Desert Eagles right in front of it. So it's a fancy shop with fancy guns.
So,
Yeah.
brace news, you going to change your opinion on braces at all? Anyone?
I changed my opinion how.
Like anyone going shopping for braces now?
No, I would still rather have a regular stock than a brace. But I just might put my brace back on my rifle.
Yeah, just about a week ago, I got my second AR lower of all time kind of thing, and the other one has a regular stock, and this one's just a standard, telescopic one. I'm not going to go out and grab one just because, sort of thing, but there will be a time when I will want one.
I would much rather all these national level organizations that say they're committed to getting rid of the NFA stop worrying about braces and go, okay, you win, ATF. These are short-barreled rifles. You're right. That means there's 3 million of them, common use, Katano, blah, 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 and go to get SBRs off the NFA. I mean, it seems like a pretty smooth road as far as, the path for it. I mean, the actual fight up to the Supreme Court obviously wouldn't be that smooth, but
I do agree, big picture, that's where we should get going. Kind of small picture, I don't want to give the ATF any victories. But that's not, that I agree that should not be the goal, is just the braces.
And I think that in the face of the current climate and anti-legislation all over the place at every level, city on up, that would be a really long, like the long road toward it. I think there's so many challenges, barbecue, that, like years, decade. I just can't imagine it being an expedient thing. And because there are challenges, like in every district, something pops up here, it's challenge. We go to this. And
obviously they cherry pick the districts just like they have before. They bring the case wherever they feel is going to be best, which is going to be probably Fifth Circuit. So it's going to be somewhere in Texas to start. Then, just go through the process. Look at the pistol brace stuff right now. It went to district court, went up to the circuit. Then the circuit kicked it back down to the district court. District court had to go look at it again. Now, Fifth Circuit just now made the nationwide injunction. Obviously, it's going to take a while, but, again, if the ATF wants to gift out something like that at the end of the day, because, again, if they're saying, oh, these are SBRs, I understand what Foss is saying, like, don't want to give ATF and DOJ a win, but at the end of the day, sometimes you got to play the long game, I think. And in this one, you go back to the Katano case with tasers in Massachusetts. 200,000 were owned at the time, and that was considered common use. And if you go on the low end of pistol braces and saying that these are SBRs, well, we've got 3 million on the low end, probably upwards of 5 or 6 million in the hands of everyday Americans that are not being used to commit any crimes. They're being used for lawful purposes, whether it be, and that's one thing I hate hearing all the time is, oh, it's for lawful purposes. But then the only thing they reference is self-defense. No, it can be target shooting, it can be self-defense, it can be sport. et cetera, as long as it's a lawful use. So that's another thing that,
as long as it's responsible.
Exactly.
So, barbecue, which of the pick two of the national organizations that you think are in the best position for a successful run at it as you described?
Any of them. The problem is none of them are actually serious. They're just giving lip service.
Which one do you think is the most serious? Which one would you point to? It'd be just like, okay, I have to put it in their lap because I think I'm like most confident in them instead of going scattershot at any one of them.
Still the same situation. They're all giving lip service. None of them actually want to do anything with the NFA.
GOA.
Otherwise, they'd be doing it.
GOA runs around worrying about it, being popular. The Second Amendment Foundation doesn't, and does some things, but because they're not popular, nobody remembers or knows about them, and they don't get funded to do whatever. Or maybe they are funded, but they don't do it. And then FPC does their things once in a while, and then is satisfied. They don't have enough ambition to grow up and fight. They're happy to run around being kids. So we've got three, and then of course Colorado doesn't do shit, and the NRA is spinning its wheels. So we don't have anybody that. I don't think you can answer that question that DJ asked. In 2023, I mean, it's
that's what I was saying. It's like they're all on the same keel to me.
So you're going to take $1 and split it 4 ways? Is that the kind of approach?
That's not our only option. That's just a thing to do. But my answer to it would be not to that question, but to the to my brace thing and to the whole NFA thing is that we've got other things. So we already see that the Congress can instigate punishment, like consequences. They can change laws, and they wrote the NFA. So they can say no more NFA. So one thing is lawsuits to say the NFA is unconstitutional, and people that make lawsuits for a living love to say we're done. Let's make lawsuits. Keep paying us, and we'll keep making lawsuits. And that might do something or not. But I think another thing to do is to pressure politicians, representatives. We don't need an NFA anymore. It's useless. We don't need background checks. Those are theater. They're useless. They're costing us money. Let's have an accounting of what these things do. Let's see some some justification for these infringements, some justification for this bureaucracy. Let's see some financial accounting and some effects on society for things like background checks, which are a bunch of theater that are being used against us. We're seeing all this flailing of arms of the drowning gun control stuff funded by a rich person who has an agenda. And there's a lot of government money being spent on that. Let's take an accounting of that. And I think that's one way of taking the purse strings and kind of paying attention to what ATF is even doing. And then, of course, education and awareness would drive that. And anyway, so I think that's another strategy, and I think it's viable. I think things like the Women for Gun Rights, I think individuals like, I could name them off. You guys all know who I would name off. But I think we see people who are working towards that individually, but that's changing. Is that a seed change? It's changing the opinion of the constituents who are then going to demand representatives just take action. And that's something that we've never had available to us. So none of the national level organizations work towards it or ever put any attention at it. So it's never brought up in conversation very often or at all. So I think that's not a for certain, but I think it's an example of something that's another alternative that we don't have to wait around for lawsuits.
Oh, won't take it.
Money at national level organization.
Baron SVG's out there. And
Rock.
Gunmetal Guy USA.
Was he allowed to be up this late? Is that legal? But there was a ballot initiative that said something about an earlier bedtime.
I don't know. He might have fallen asleep. He hasn't said anything.
I don't know. I feel like toads just do what they want. They're pretty awesome.
Let me go back up. X Adam was talking about the 500 kit, asking if there's any big differences. I don't think there's any difference other than the grip for the guns that are in the survival kits.
Weren't they engraved or something?
Mine was.
They say Grizzly or something?
I don't know if those are or not. And I wanted to go back
They
up.
didn't have an engraving on the cylinder, did they? It said grizzly or something, or had a grizzly bear. Am I crazy?
I don't know. Bubba, when we were talking about Ritz crackers, was asking if you know why the Ritz crackers are serrated. I
Yes.
believe that's because people would shave off the edge of the crackers and then save them up and
Yep.
create their own crackers.
Yep, you would get like a whole bunch of these Ritz crackers with smooth edges, and then you'd be like, "Oh, no problem. I'll just pay full price for these." And little did you know, they're making extra Ritz crackers in the back.
Ozzy Osbourne's out there.
Well, speaking of crackers, has anybody ever made crackers from scratch? I think G-Webs, I heard you talk about like grandma making crackers from scratch or something like that. Sorry if I confuse it. But does any of you guys make crackers?
I've made 3 of them.
I'm offended. My grandmother never made a cracker. I have no idea if my
Alright.
grandmother ever made crackers. I don't think so.
I have not.
I don't know why you'd make a cracker, though. That seems like a lot of work for something that you just go to the store and get. Unless it's like a ceremonial cracker or something.
You can make 3 crackers, and all you need is 3 eggs.
What?
Ba-dum-tsh.
A whole lot of frosting.
Enough to stand through a buffalo.
Batter. Ugh.
I did. Here, let me make myself big. Did
Enhanced.
kind of a sort of test printing, trying a new company, and I didn't realize that when they do their glow, this is a glow in the dark one. For some
Is it
reason,
black
they convert the pictures to black and white.
It
And
kind
I
of looks good because wasn't that one of the shows that was black and white for a while, or I just watched it on black and white TVs?
don't think it was black and white. But I mean, the sticker itself, it's a nice thick vinyl. I like the quality of the sticker. I'm not happy that it's black and white, but part of that was, I mean, they said in the description and I missed it. That's black and white, but let me show you a picture of it glowing.
The whole thing glows then, and the black part
Yeah.
disappears.
This is what it looks like when it's glowing.
I wonder if it just looks like ass when it's in color, or if they can't print it in color.
I don't know, because one of the other places
It looks good that way. You know, it's like the grayscale makes it
Yeah.
look right.
because I've
Like
got
in color, it might just look like a big mud. You know, it might look like nothing. Like who's on
I've
the
got a
detail.
couple other glow in the dark ones. One's the logo, and one is the
It'd be cooler. if the
blueberry
ink
one.
glowed in the dark.
Yeah, and I thought those were. Let's see if I've got those ones here. Yeah, like the blueberry one. And yeah.
Oh, some
I
of
got-
these glow. I didn't know that. I have
Yeah.
been inside of things, so I never even had a chance to see them in the dark.
Let me show you. Let me make myself big again. So this logo one glows,
Oh, I think I remember that.
and then the blueberry one glows. Whoops. And
Oh, you
falls.
put
Yeah.
pictures of that, but I just forgot. Okay.
But yeah, and these look fine. I think they're normal and glowing.
Yeah, but they're well, the yellow. But I was gonna say there are a lot of blue in there, but there is yellow,
Yeah.
and that's pretty yellowy.
Well, is
Well,
the
yeah,
glowing
If only we
is
had
the
some
compound?
sort of printing experts around that we could ask about these things.
Yeah, because I'm curious now. Is it a coating or is it already impregnated in the vinyl itself? Like what?
Oh, I bet it's.
How does the glow get to it? Say again.
It's the vinyl. I bet it's the vinyl. Because I bought a bunch of this vinyl from when I had my cutter, and you can buy glow in the dark vinyl, and I think they just print on the glow in the dark vinyl. You know, send the vinyl through a printer instead of the cutter.
Got it.
Yeah. So one of the reasons. Whoops.
Well, you think if it was a white, then they could print anything on it, but maybe it's
Yeah.
because it's a yellowish color. It looks bad with color.
I don't know. Maybe it's their printers they have that just can't handle it. I don't know, because they were doing a special for 3-inch. The other place that I usually do the glow in the dark, they're 2.5-inch when they run their specials. So I thought I'd do it just kind of like a test print to see test run.
I think I got an offer the other day from a place, and I think it's probably expired by now. I didn't act on it fast enough. I gotta go look.
But here I can show what it looks like with the color. Let me go over to the Gilded server real quick.
Wait, you post those on the Gilded server for everybody to check out?
Yeah.
You could just join Gilded for free and check that out.
So this is what it looks like with color.
It'd be groovy if you could be selected like the lightning bolt and then the thing that's in the receiver.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to do the test run, is to see how it would look glowing, but then they converted it black and white, which kind of defeated the purpose.
Yeah.
The Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. Sorry, wrong cartoon.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Why don't you fast forward?
So I don't know. I'm
I just don't
debating
know
on
the
whether
Jetsons song.
It's impossible to sing the Jetson song, I think.
well, there
Meet
aren't any
George
words.
Jetson.
Yeah, it's kind of like just saying it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can't really sing the noise that they make. You need to step on a robot for that to happen.
Bubba was saying they're serrated so you could cut the cheese, but DJ can cut the cheese without serrated edges.
Oh, I think I remember hearing about that before. That if you have like a slice of cheese, you can use a Ritz to cut it like a pizza cutter. You ever seen that? I don't know if it was in a commercial. I know I've seen that somewhere.
No, are they substantial enough to do anything?
Yeah, seriously.
In that regard,
if you got a
no
slice
way.
of cheese, yeah, like people that buy cheese slices. If you got a slice of cheese that's a normal slice, you can definitely cut it with a Ritz like a pizza cutter.
Never tried it before.
Maybe we used to do that. I know I've seen it somewhere, and then I know I've done it. So, I mean, it's not that often. I don't have cheese very often. It must have been when I was a kid, so it was a while ago.
Like Moo pointed out, and Foss also assented to chicken in a biscuit being good. That was like the cracker that my mom would not buy. But like once in the blue moon, when we get to select, my brother and I could select a box of snack crackers. That was always my jam. And now that I'm an adult, probably every couple of months she brings a box over. It's like, why couldn't I have these when I was a kid?
I feel like jam on chicken and biscuit crackers would be really gross.
Yeah, it would be.
What about them ones that are brown and they're huge and they got big holes in them? They're gross. They taste like eating a stick. You ate them? Some kind of cracker? They're like a, I don't know, rye or they're dark.
What, like the
like wassa bread? Yeah, rye crisp wassas.
Maybe. I don't think it's bread.
Yeah.
Maybe it's bread.
Well, they just call it that. Yeah.
There's a few different flavors, I guess. I'll get them every now and again. I just smear butter on them.
Actually, I probably should try them again. I haven't eaten them since I was a kid. I remember not liking them, but I probably would like them now that I'm old.
Yeah, the wassa, there's like 6 or 8 different flavors, so to speak. They're pretty substantial. I dig them.
And I was thinking there's 12 people out there. If a couple more people jump in, maybe we'll give away a She-Fire pod. Whoops. I've got the She-Fire logo mug and then her 2A rated.
Nice.
So,
very nice.
We'll see if anybody else
use
shows
that
up.
for drinking coffee out of.
So
Good
share the
decent
stream
mug.
out.
So is
Let
that for
people
the
know.
person who wins the bracket tonight, or how's that work?
No, I can't do the bracket. I left the bracket sitting out, and my kid colored on it with crayons. So I have to get it cleaned up before we can do brackets again.
You're going to be signed for.
You
You can make them watch.
could at least got
Waterworld.
us some colored pencils.
To make the kid watch Waterworld.
I saw it twice in the theater.
There's like I watched
Twice?
it recently. There's like a whole thread of where the one little kid is on that boat. She keeps coloring on stuff, and then he throws her out or cuts her hair or something.
Yes, I saw it twice with 2 different girls.
It's been so many months of
You
non-bracket kind of thing, non-assent to the bracket sort of thing. You're going to be cited for bracket abuse, man. It's like it's out for this, it's out for that, left it in the rain.
Well, the main thing is how much he
union's gonna get.
markets that he's going to have a bracket this week. This week, the bracket. Show up for the bracket. All these people are, rescheduling their lives and stuff for the bracket, and then stuff happens all the time. It's crazy.
I do like the polls. Is it like the impetus for different conversations? It's pretty groovy.
The problem is I will either forget to make a poll or can't think of what to do for a poll.
We'll do a poll during the show. Make the poll now for next week.
Well, the poll for next week will be more overnight related.
Oh.
Then the ones for the mouse party are just kind of whatever. I will ask. I wanted everyone's opinion on. Oh, and I gotta call up another picture here. While I was talking to my wife, when she was telling me no, I showed her this knife and said, "But don't you think this one's pretty?" And she said, "No, it is ugly." So, what is everyone's opinion on this knife? It's an abalone. It's probably fake abalone, but Damascus blade with abalone scales.
It's definitely there's a lot going on there with both.
Yeah, I like the way it looks.
I like it. How many doll hairs would something like that be?
Oh, it's only like $40. It's
okay.
He's made.
I don't like the liner lock, of course, but
Yeah.
I could probably get used to it for the look or whatever. It's not my thing, but I understand it. I could get it, and it's natural or whatever.
I mean, none of the knives I have I use for anything other than opening boxes and looking at, fiddling with.
Is that a folder or a fixed blade?
It's a folder, so
got a
liner lock folder. It's Ned Foss. Yeah, which I have. Actually, we gave away a Ned Foss folder, one of the big ones, which I really like. It's like twice the size of a normal folder.
It's like a machete.
I didn't know your Uncle Ned made knives.
Yeah, it's so he's got a bunch of neat designs, but they're all kind of Chinese made, so they're cheap. But for just looking at and playing with it.
Do you think it's a real person or just a name they use?
It's 50-50. I almost would think it's maybe a person because the designs I think look nice, rather than just being. When I was looking through knives, there's a bunch that look like they're copies of Civivis, and they're kind of really cheap Chinese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And these designs are a little bit different, so I think it might be a guy that's designing them and then just having a company in China make them.
Good for him.
But it's all conjecture. I don't know.
There are a couple of different guitar companies, soft quotes around companies that do that. All they do is send in the designs. Everything's offshore. They brand them out to them, sort of deal.
Well, a lot of companies will be like, "Here's our menu. What do you want? This kind of blade shape,
exactly.
This kind of blade material," and then you come up with your combo, right? And then maybe say put my initials on it, and then boom, or like put my grind on it or something, right? Or put my pattern in the handle. That probably costs more, but something like that to make it unique. If they even go that step, because they might just say pick all these options and then put my name on the box.
Ozzy says he likes it, and Bubba is more practical. Doesn't matter the look, just can it cut? Can it poke?
Well, it looks like it's got the pokey thing down.
Yeah, I don't mind the blade shape at all. I like that drop point or whatever. Just kind of
I was gonna say, I feel like it would be better than a pointy stick.
Looks like a Mora blade shape. I don't know if the Damascus is hit or miss. Like sometimes Damascus is super good, and the really good Damascus is great, but inexpensive Damascus, I could take it or leave it.
The design on the Damascus is kind of, for me, it's so. I mean, some Damascus is better than no Damascus.
I like this better than a weird pattern. Like a symmetrical patterns usually bother me. Like I'd rather see it kind of natural-ish looking like this or whatever, randomish like this.
Oh, it's just, doesn't uh,
In China,
do a lot for
Damascus
me.
is probably just a bunch of junk metal. They throw in a big thing,
Yeah.
smush it a bunch of times, right, and then make blades out of it.
Well, and have you seen the ones that are like faux Damascus, where it's like etched on there and then back filled with color?
Yeah, seriously, like they laser it and
Yeah.
then stain
Yeah.
it or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, I don't care. I mean, it's about the look, right? Like again, you know, for $40, you expect it to be like hand hammered by some guy in a forge and shit.
Yeah, no doubt. There's
Yeah,
one of my.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, one of the guitar repair channels that I watched saved up all of the strings from doing string changes for people for, I don't know, a couple years or whatever, and gave them to a friend who was doing a project making it Damascus out of all the guitar strings. And the experiment didn't work out all that well, but it's like, yeah, that's a noble effort. I really like that idea.
I was going to say, did it turn in crazy tiny Damascus or just mush into nothing? Because it sounds like if that's small enough, it could just smush into nothing.
Yeah, it was a substantial number. Now, I'm going to refer to it, and I don't know if this is the correct nomenclature, an ingot. So after all the layering, the pressing, the forge, the firing and all that stuff as it goes through the process, it kind of did end up looking like streaky spaghetti. But I don't know what it was in, like hardening, tempering, something hadn't gone quite right. So they weren't able to make anything other than the ingot. And apparently wasn't useful for any further purpose. It's like college try. I like the idea.
Abigail Source Finnegan's out there. Good evening. Here's another one here. I'll show you another one that I was looking at and thinking about getting.
What website is this that you're looking at?
It's just Amazon.
Oh, right on. Do you ever look at like Smoky Mountain Knife Works or anybody like that?
Amazon and Blade HQ are usually the two sites that I'll look at. I've kind of gotten into the jade handle.
Oh, this is interesting, or more interesting-ish.
I like the shape. The handle shape is kind of the 5-inch blade, 5.8-inch blade.
That's a $60. That's a 60?
No, 40.
39, okay.
Yeah.
So what were you saying about the handle?
Sorry, yeah, what about the handle?
Oh, the shape is kind of but the look, I like I'm looking at the look of it. The overall look is what I like.
The more I look at it, that handle is just sword-looking handle. It looks like just kind of a utilitarian handle. It's not a knife for doing like bushcraft with, so I don't really care if it's got like a fancy bulbous handle or something.
Foss, I have an idea.
Yes.
Whenever your wife's like, you have enough knives or anything for that matter, it'd probably just work with a knife. But you could pull out the one that I sent you. Be like, remember barbecue? He sent me this one. He's sending me this one that I have on the screen. I'm not buying it. He's sending it to me, and then you just order it.
Well, yeah, that would be a fib.
But it's just a fib.
Stage things around the house, like a string somewhere that doesn't need to be there, and you could be like, if only we had another knife close by, we could get to the string. Like
that's the thing. My knives are kind of spread out throughout the house, because I'll walk around with them and then set them down, and then that's where they are for a while.
So when was the last time you did an inventory, like had them all in one place, or made sure you had a proper accounting?
Never.
Yeah, me either.
It'll be I will find it and then realize, oh, I forgot I put it here.
Or that I had it at all. Happens to me sometimes.
We really need people to start advocating for responsible knife ownership. My gosh.
And storage. Come on.
The last time I had them all together was that time the table broke.
Here's a picture with a hand, so you can kind of.
And then is that glowy or is it just jade looking?
No, it's jade, so it's
do you think it's heavy like jade or it's polymer? No,
it's a polymer. For $40, it's polymer.
Yeah.
I like the notch in the blade up towards the hilt. That's kind of cool. It's like what actually makes it that, and the line, the taper line on the blade itself.
And
those are the two things I like most about it.
The way the steel looks, I like that look. So you can kind of see striations here, and then where the blade is, it's smooth.
Yeah. What kind of the steel is on there?
It is
440.
back out of here. 14C 28N steel blade, which I don't know,
I don't know
this
what that
steel
is
from
either.
that steel.
Well, it's some kind of new steel, or else it's a fancy way of some normal steel, but probably for $40, it's nothing fancy.
Yeah, but again, I'm just looking at the way it looks. I like the way it looks.
So whenever a long time ago, when I first started doing the reviews on the internet, really not even before, it was way before YouTube, really, I just went around and got a bunch of knives, and at some point, I think talking to Benchmade, they're the ones that are the most interested in talking about metals, and then Spyderco a little bit. But anyway, after talking to the manufacturers, looking for things to do reviews on and stuff, talking to them about the metals, I started to look into it. And anyway, so long story short, once I obtained a bunch of the different metals, so like I would buy a whole bunch of different knives, but I would try to always buy a new metal in the knife, in the blade. It's really different. Like I really like D1. A lot of people don't like that one, but it's a tool metal, so it's like a chisel. But imagine like a chisel compared to a razor blade, compared to a cheap sword, compared to like, I don't know, like a tool or something. All these metals have different consistencies. So when you polish them up and like, cut and make them kind of fine into a knife, like they really are different. Like, some are, you can just make them sharp and they're going to stay sharp forever. Like that D1, it's really hard to dull that stuff. I'm assuming it's really hard to sharpen it. I never had to, but I mean, it's super sharp. And, I'm just not used to steels being able to do that. Thing is, it was brittle. So you're not going to use that as a pry bar because it's going to snap.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I was looking at was a Chinese sword with a jade handle. And of course, my wife said no. So I said, well, what about a spear? No, she won't let me have a spear either.
A spear? Who wants a spear? What are you going to do with a
I
spear?
want a spear.
What
And
if you were
here's-
looking at a Japanese sword? Would that be okay?
I have talked to her about that in the past, but what I want costs a lot of money. And this is the one Barbecue sent me. It's Damascus, and you can feel the Damascus. It's real Damascus. And I like that little design on the back and the lighter. And it's there. Oops. A little bit of jimping there. And it's supposed to be buffalo horn. I wouldn't know the difference, but
And the
thank you,
bolster's high
Barbecue.
polish like that is kind of groovy too.
A little leather sheath from
Yeah, you
my
should,
friend
like-
Barbecue.
You kind of have to thank P23 for that, because he had something on the channel and he's like, send it to Foss. I was like, what the heck do I send to Foss? I was like, which, I mean, you hear it all the time. Foss, like, what do we get Foss? I was like, I'm going to find a knife and send it to Foss. I don't even know if Foss likes knives, but we're going to send him one. And I found that.
There's a test you can use to find out if something is buffalo horn. You just take the thing, you rub it on your armpit a bunch of times, and then you sniff it really hard. And then if it smells sweet, it's buffalo horn.
Well,
If you want, go ahead and do that test real quick.
No, I choose to believe. I want to believe. Garage Guy and Defense Dad are out there. Good evening. Abigail said lying to your significant other is no basis for a good relationship. I agree.
That's why we said it was a fib, not a lie. Big difference.
In general, I do not like lying to people. So
Deception. Yeah.
Garage Guy saying Damascus shouldn't be kept in the sheath. Oil it up and keep it separately. It's probably not a bad idea.
You mentioned spear. Shatap Woods, I think he has one, like a cold steel made spear of some sort. Yeah. And isn't there a company that makes ones where you can basically it's just the blade itself and
Cold steel.
It's made so cold steel, yeah, so you can put them on like a broom handle or something.
Yeah, I was
just a stick,
looking at those on Amazon.
They're like $20. They're not that expensive. They're essentially a flat piece of metal that just is wrapped around like a shovel, like wrapped around something. So they sell it pretty cheap, and it's cold steel, so it's super decent.
You can get them with or without a sheath.
I've never got one, but I've played with other people's ones, and yeah, they're definitely worth the $20 or whatever they cost. I went with the shovels. I got a bunch of shovels.
I was looking at those too today.
You want
I'm
one? I
looking
got a
at
bunch of them.
everything. I think this might be the one I was. No, this isn't the one. But Smith and Wesson makes one. Here's the Smith and Wesson one. There we go.
What about an atlatl or whatever they are, where you have that
Atlatl,
two-part
yeah.
spear and you wing it really far? Like you can take down a deer with one of them or something.
There's the not archaeologists, like the archaeologists, but not archaeologists. I don't know why I'm blanking on who
Dentist?
they are.
Dentist?
What do they study?
Kind of like archaeology.
Pachydermiology?
Oh, it's what? God, now I can't even think of the example I was going to give. The name of the guy. It changed the way people look at linguistics, but hates America.
Somebody that shoots 9mm.
And lies to their significant other.
You know what I haven't said in a while, just because we're talking about archaeology. Just in case Black Cat were to watch this, dinosaurs aren't real.
Dinosaurs are so fake. Paleontologist?
No. God. I don't even know how to question Google for who I'm looking for.
You know it's going to come to you about 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, as soon as I jump off the computer, I will remember.
Hey Google, who's the linguist that hates America and changed archaeology?
Yeah.
Epistemology? It's
No.
language. It's about language?
No. Shit. I took the little bit of college learning that I had. I took a class in whatever it is I can't think of. That's probably why I didn't do well in college. I couldn't sit still. Noam Chomsky. That's who I'm trying to think of.
Okay.
The studies that Noam did changed the way
sociology
that people looked at how language is learned. I mean, brilliant guy, hates America.
Yeah, now I know who you mean. I've only read one of his books, but like seeing him give lectures or whatever, there's a boat ton on YouTube. He's kind of divisive in a lot of ways, and yeah, you're right. And I've forgotten that tendency in him to kind of like dump on his own country. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So.
Stupid American.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, I can't think of it. It's gonna bug me too that I can't remember. Well, it'll bug me until I forget that I was worried about it.
Linguistics?
No. Yeah, doesn't. I mean, overall, it doesn't really matter. But well, at least
the dog lets you do that.
What's that?
Check out the pug. He's like attacking the pug with a tyrannosaur, and it's tolerating that shit. He looks unhappy about it though.
He's got eyes that
because
are.
He knows this is about to happen. He hates this worse. I'm trying to
ASPCA, man.
Stick on his head, and that'll be awesome. He's got a little dinosaur suit, so now he has a wicked dinosaur helmet to wear. I can do this, and it looks like he got swallowed by a dinosaur. He can handle this. Now it looks like a dinosaur is eating him. like that one frog picture that's in the snake. Look to the side.
It's only 320 something days until Halloween.
Yeah, that's why I got this dinosaur thing for $1.
You guys know how a robot has sex?
No idea. Do you like to watch it?
He nuts and bolts.
All right. I kind of lost what I was doing now. So I got off on something.
You were
that didn't
buying
matter.
swords and knives, coming up with excuses.
Yeah,
That aren't deceptive.
well, usually I just don't say anything, and like with guns, she doesn't know the difference between this gun and that gun. It's all the same.
What do you think about creating an Amazon wish list and just kind of putting out the word, like on the show, in a random post, in emails to friends somewhere near the holidays? Might get some filtering in, and if they're coming in that way and like pretty wrapped up pretty in a gift
well,
box
that,
or something.
there's one big problem with that, and this statement applies to myself only. I do not think of other people in this way, but I will not ask somebody else to buy me something. I'm an adult. I have a job. It's I'll buy my own stuff that I want, and I'm not. Again, I'm applying that to myself. I do not judge anybody else by that standard.
So do you have a hard time accepting gifts?
A little bit, and everyone says that I'm hard to buy a gift for. I am probably the easiest person, because if somebody was kind enough to give me something, I appreciate it, and I will hang on to it whether I can use it or not. Somebody took the time to pick something out to give to me, and I will always appreciate it.
So truly an expression of it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on, man. I can relate to that to some degree. I don't like extravagance. Like, I like it when I'm able to do it for others, but I don't, keep it small. It doesn't have to be simple, but yeah, I just like high dollar items and stuff like that. I kind of shy away from it.
Yeah, for like the swords, this was probably 20 years ago now, when I was looking online at swords, and there was a company that was making swords. They were folded. I know there was one doing folded steel, and so long ago, I'm kind of mixing up details, but and this was, again, it's like 20 years ago, but I think for about $2,000. So it was made in the style of a Japanese sword, a katana. And I always wanted one. I would have loved to have a real one, but those are really expensive for decent ones. I've held one before. I knew somebody that had one, and it was heavier than I expected, but it was still cool. I forget, his was maybe like, I think 500 years old.
That'd be awesome.
I fiddled with some ones at gun shows and stuff, but that's it for that kind of thing.
Scottish Americans out there, good evening.
Yeah, Hillbilly had a chat earlier this evening that had a Veterans Day focus, and we were sharing, family members who may have served, kind of thing. And G-Webs and Barbecue both know that I have my great-grandfather's Civil War saber. There's something that's extremely badass about a big blade that long. It just, the holding it thing, thinking about, flashing it on the field kind of deal. There's something super, super primal about an extension of your arm being like 3.5 feet of sharp steel. It's wicked.
What I mean,
Yeah.
other than the form factor being cool, the history of it is, it's I like to have a good rummage in old stuff, like an attic where my mom used to get upset because I'd look through my granddad's old stuff before he died, and then I'd bring home all this kind of junk, but it was all this old artifacts to me. The history, I love old books. That musty smell of an old book, I love that smell. When we went to visit my mother-in-law in Japan, got up in her attic, dug through all her old books and
No way.
papers and stuff. Yeah.
Right on.
I used to go in my younger days. I would go to the junkyard, to the wrecking yards, and just give them an excuse to go out there and then just dig through all the cars to see what you find. All the old junk that's somebody left in the trunk.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Junk in the
A lot of
trunk, right?
times It's like a wreck or something, you never know what the story is, but often, there's stuff left in the cars. That's a good point. I never thought about it. I never went there specifically for that, but if I was ever bored while somebody else was picking parts, you can always entertain yourself by digging through, what do you call them, glove boxes and consoles and stuff.
Trunks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You find everything from old photographs. I found Playboys. Any of the old Mopars, like from the 60s, if I find those, if they had the dome light covers, I would always steal the dome light covers.
Yeah.
Because they were impossible to buy, really hard to find. So I would always, toss them in my toolbox if I had my toolbox with me.
Now, retrospectively, I'm not really proud of this, but in the 70s on Mercury Cougars, there was a padded dash portion above the glove box, and it had the profile of the chrome Cougar, and so it was color matched with the vinyl color of the interiors. And so when I would go out to parts yards, if I saw one, I go in there, and it was the whole piece that was attached to the dash itself was probably about a 1.5 feet long. It's like 3 feet or 3 inches, 4 inches high, but it was riveted on from the back, so you did not see the rivets because of the padded upholstery. But if you just started to bend it from one side, it was one of those wiggle back, back and forth until the friction eventually it'll give way. So it's a really raggedy, nasty edge on it. But I probably have a half a dozen of those. I don't know. It's like little treasure things. Sorry.
No, I was just saying good night to Defense Dad.
Yep. And up here, that's crazy that you got those. G-Webs, you got stuff all over the place like that. You just put your hands on. Like I took there's Mopar for you. Took those off my truck, and I saved the rear view mirror for my '74 Comet.
That's
I don't know how
to just save these because I didn't, junk in the van. I didn't want to junk the emblems and shit. They're cool as shit, these old ones.
Oh, hell yeah.
Abigail's. I should see if my friend can forge me a sword. That'd be awesome. That's one thing I'd like to do one time, is to, forge a sword. Something you make.
Would you want to go
wicked
to a
awesome.
place, and visit and use their stuff and do it at their place, or would you rather have all the tools to do it?
Well, the practical answer would be yes, go somewhere where you could do it. When I thought about it, watching Forged in Fire on TV, I want to do it, but I know that it's not going to be something I'm probably going to do a lot of. So then, sink a bunch of money into buying the stuff to make, a sword, a knife.
You make yourself a sword, and then I'll have you make me a Scottish claymore.
That's that'd be tough.
That's a really long forge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Full out of
long
metal.
forge. I actually do know somebody who's in like the Tacoma area who has a forge and does tools. He doesn't do blades, but he does tools and stuff like that. I'll look him up, push him your way.
Well, it's just it's one of those. It'd be nice to do, but probably won't happen.
Okay, I know.
So are you saying there's definitely no bracket tonight, or the bracket was just delayed?
No, there's no bracket tonight. We had to postpone the bracket.
At least with all the crayon coloring that happened to it, it's now waterproof because the wax sealed it.
Or if you need to like a removal trick, there's like you take newspaper and an iron, melt the wax into the paper, come right off.
Marines might
Good as
be
me.
now.
I thought for sure you're just going to say for Marines to lick it.
Ugh.
Well, I might take the grinder to it. Get one of those flap discs for my grinder. Grind it down. What kind of cake are you eating?
It's kind of gross. It is chocolate cake with like frosting, but the frosting has Oreos smushed into it, so there's like a extra sweet corn syrupy Oreo cookie flavor to the frosting.
Yeah, that does sound gross.
I think it's unnecessary. But
Like
it's,
little strips of cake with shortening jammed in between the layers.
Is it which kind of
Well, it's
frosting
frosting.
is it?
It's
Is
good
it
frosting.
The whipped kind or the shortening
No,
kind?
it's like buttercream or whatever,
Oh.
or some version of it,
Yeah.
but it's just
Powder
a little
sugar.
bit extra sweet. with the,
Buttercream's amazing.
yeah. Otherwise, it's pretty good. But it's just store cake. It's not like some grandma made it or anything.
So which is better on, of all things, a cookie, frosting or icing? Go.
Frosting.
What's the difference?
Frosting's always better than icing.
Frosting or icing, G?
Oh, you mean like this instead of the hard crap? I mean, it depends. If you're gonna like eat it within 5 minutes, I guess something like this. But I'll take either one. I don't think you can lose on that.
Oh.
Because
What do you do when?
right?
So what do you guys do when you run into like a decorated cookie that's just like, I don't know, like your kid made it or somebody got aggressive at a bake sale with their pipette and it's just like twice as much frosting as there is cookie? What do you do?
Eat the shit out of it. What are you talking about? That's a score.
Like, why would you complain about that? Like, you want the frosting.
Maybe.
Who cares about that shitty ass cookie?
The cookie is a delivery agent for whatever frosting.
Right. I've always been anti-thick frosting. They haven't dug it. I don't prefer icing, but like if like a birthday cake at the back of it, on the sides, and just like in between the layers, you get that almost a cord around the two layers where it's just like so thick and nasty. I don't like it. Fondant as well, so I can't dig it.
I don't understand fondant. That just needs to go away.
Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
that is. That's
No
like
doubt.
bait and switch bullshit. I don't know what that is.
Like, even when I could see, I would not realize that sometimes there was fondant on the cake. So then, like, you're just like, oh, okay, and like you could cut into it fine for some reason, and you take a bite, and all of a sudden you're just like, chew it. You're like, what? God dang it!
Somebody put like a raw pancake on here. What the hell?
It's like raw pancake crossed with chewing gum. It's awful.
Yeah, like the baseball card chewing gum when it's fresh. Probably that's what it tastes like.
I don't know if I've ever had it. I know what it is. I've just never
It's
had
seriously,
it.
I don't know. It's like some old lady, like retaliation because it isn't sweet and it's gross. It tastes like flour, right?
Yeah, there's like no flavor to me at least, but like you can't chew it to swallow or anything. Like you just keep chewing on it forever, and it's awful. Like eventually you just pull it out of your mouth. You're like, Why? Well, why couldn't we just peel this off before you cut the cake?
Yeah, I was at a party where they had past hors d'oeuvres and stuff. They had little petit fours that were encased in fondant. It was an embarrassing moment, man. I like went into it. I'm just like, and it didn't occur to me because it was relatively thin around it. And then I saw other people, they were peeling it. The idea was that they were supposed to be peeled. I'd never run into that before. So,
Oh, you had to take that garbage off, like it's just for show,
yeah,
like wax on cheese, essentially.
No, I've heard people say
big like that.
that you can eat it, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, you can.
okay, you can, but I don't think you're supposed to.
Yeah.
What?
I guess that makes sense. If it's supposed to be like wax on cheese and you're keeping your cake fresh, well, that's what people that like cake get, because cake, again, is a delivery agent for the frosting.
It has nothing to do with freshness, though. It's for decoration, and it's easier to make make the cake look very pretty with the fondant instead of
Right, and it doesn't
just
melt or anything.
yeah.
No flies, no near it because it's so gross.
I am against that. Bubba's quoting John Panette, the comedian. Fondant is the emperor's new clothes of frosting.
Nice.
Damn sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of glad that I've never encountered fondant. But now,
I think G was onto something though with the whole, if it's encapsulated, it might, your cake might keep longer or something.
No, I
like
bet you
that.
that's what it is, because there's probably back in the day somebody was like, oh, you know what? If we put this junk on this cake, it stays better longer. And then people were like, oh, it's gross. Let's
if
make it
you
look
need to store your cake long enough that you have to worry about freshness, your cake sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you storing cakes for the winter or something? Make another cake. Now that I think about it, I think this was more of like a whipped cream thing. It's just because of the Oreos in it. It made it taste sweeter and have like a little bit more structure to it. But
If you've got to store your cake longer than a day, pretty sure you made fruit cake.
I still save a piece of my freeze a piece of my birthday cake every year and have it like 6 months later.
is it worth doing a bracket where you do the worst cake or something instead of the best? You do the worst and then let people go to the lowest common, lowest.
I know one of the most overrated ones. Pineapple upside down cake. Like, it is not all that damn special when you have one.
Oh, you don't like
It's
it?
like, what's all the hype? No, it's not that I don't like it, but it's just like, it's one of those like way overhyped cakes. It's like, it's supposed to be like such a big deal. It's just kind of, yeah, whatever.
I think it's,
And I've had a
like when
bunch.
remember like when oranges were Christmas presents, like in the olden days? I think that's what happened. It's like from the olden days when a pineapple was a big ass deal, and then canned pineapple was kind of new to everybody in the war and everything. So people were like, oh, that's what, so-and-so's eating in the Pacific or whatever. I think it was something like that, because I know that it was definitely the older folks that liked it, and it's sort of like some of the other foods that they like, like, oh, I like this old soup or something. It's not so much that it's special. It's just that back in the day, it was like their first time where they got, I don't know, when it, like pizza, like, the first
Yeah,
time.
that makes good sense that you're like, especially because you're tying it to like the canned fruit kind of deal. And yeah,
it was like one of the recipes on the canned fruit, right? And I think it's like that. And it's not that it's so hard to make. So I only know about it because somebody in my family, they had to have it all the time. That was like their favorite thing. So we always had it. And I never was all that, I never thought it was so great. But it's pretty much super easy to make. When we were in Scouts, we would make it quite a bit because I don't know if anybody knows how to make it, but it's super easy to make. So it's one of those things that you do make if you're not good yet, like if you're not a risky cook or whatever. And, if you're in a situation like Scouts where it's like you draw straws or you figure out ahead of time and it's like, oh, that guy's going to be cooking dessert, let's make it something that they're not going to ruin. And it was sort of in the easier end of the realm. But anyway, I just happened to have had to eat it my whole life, and I don't necessarily love it either, but I'll eat it now. But I don't choose it. I mean, if it's in front of me, I'll maybe eat it, but I would never order it.
I get that. So everybody around the horn, check in on angel food cake. Yes or no?
Oh man, same thing. My grandpa loved it, and
I love it.
Take it or leave it. There's nothing, you can't put frosting on it. What frosting do you put on angel food cake? It's just you eat it by itself.
I would make angel food cake. From scratch is a lot better than the store bought. But
for sure.
Angel food cake with strawberry sometimes raspberry, sometimes blackberry, but filling.
Yeah, I got you. I'm not into the fruit, so but
And I'll also do. I don't do angel food. It's a pain in the ass to make, and it would
is.
be.
Yeah.
I would only make it if it's been long enough where I forgot what a pain in the ass it is to make. Then I would make one and then remember how much of a pain in the ass it is.
see, my grandpa
And you
liked making it though. Like he would, make a big thing about it, and he just appreciated making it because it was a challenge or whatever.
Yeah. But I do a chocolate with usually either raspberry or blackberry filling, which and a kind of cocoa chocolate fudgy, not quite fudgy, frosting, which is really good. Everybody seems to love it.
Are you talking like you cook it and then cut it apart and cut a trough in it and fill it, or bakes with it in there?
If it depends. If I've got these little mini baking pans, then they're kind of like a bundt cake shape, so I'll just put the filling in the middle. But if I do a regular cake, it'll either the chocolate cake, there's just layered. If I do angel food, then I'll bake it and then about 2/3 the way up, cut it, and then make a trough.
Okay.
Fill that. And you got to make your filling kind of thick on the thick side, otherwise the angel food gets soggy.
Bleeds in.
But sometimes people do that intentionally, and then it creates like a pattern look to it, and they dig that. But I would do it if people put cherry in there, but they always put strawberry and raspberry, which I don't like. So if they would do cherry, I'd be down, but I don't like those other fruits. But I get,
Yeah.
I get that.
The filling I make is probably closer to a compote.
Now, when my grandpa made it, he would turn it upside down on a Coke bottle. What do you do nowadays with dang Coke bottles around?
Just flip it over on a rack.
And wait. Yeah.
It's a long drive. Oh, wait, you mean... no, I'm saying like the pan. Well, don't you cook it, and then you have to, once it's done cooking, you flip it upside down? He would flip it upside down on a Coke bottle. On that.
My grandma used to do that. I don't remember what she put it on, but I don't know. I just kind of treated it more like a regular cake. I don't. It's
you don't flip it upside down?
It's been a long time since I've done it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made one. I've only been in the kitchen when somebody else was making one. I didn't stick around, so I don't even know the whole process.
My pan it's 2-piece. So imagine a cone with the flat portion. No, I have a spring form too. Like this would be like it's not a bundt pan. It is like kind of an angel food cake pan. So you got a cone from the center, just like so a cone, and then it's like the flat bottom part of the pan.
Oh yeah. I either had one of those. I don't even know if I have my. But yeah, I know exactly I think that's what I had.
Yeah, and then the outside separate. Yeah, but I forgot about the whole dislodging one by resting it on a bottle thing. I have seen that in the past. But that's a throwback.
Oh, is that what they were doing? I thought that was to make it not collapse on itself. I thought that was to make it fluffy.
Huh. I don't know. Perhaps that is.
Well, because I know my grandpa's pan was just a pan. It didn't come apart or nothing, I don't think. Maybe it is how it fell out then. Maybe you let it rest or some shit like that, and then it falls out instead of, because there's no way to cut it out of that angel food cake pan. I don't know.
No, that's a mistake. It collapses like in on itself, which is not such a bad thing. Do you try to preserve the angel food thing all the way through, like the fluff part, or do you kind of squish one down so it's a little more chewy?
Oh hell no! He tried to make it as fluffy as possible. I think it was all about. Why didn't you have to sit there for fold the egg yolks or some shit? It was or it was a procedure.
Yeah, right. No, I mean at the point of consumption.
No, I mean
kind of squish it up like a ball or anything like that.
I hardly ever ate it because I always eat it with fruit. I don't count fruit as dessert. That's dinner.
I'd eat it just like a regular cake.
Gotcha.
I went through a baking phase for a while, so I was making.
It sounds like it.
Cakes and pies. And
what other pastries do you like to make, or do you still make?
It's basically after I met my wife, I kind of all the baking kind of phased out. Now and again, I'll do the chocolate cake, but I don't really do anything anymore.
Have you ever made the chocolate cake where it's like vinegar and baking soda and chocolate and a bunch of sugar and it turns into chocolate cake? You don't even have to mix it.
No.
No.
Yeah, then my grandma would make this one that's crazy. It's super, super, super good too. It's like almost brownie
Chocolate
like.
douche cake.
What?
You said vinegar and I was out.
No, seriously, it sounds like crazy,
Is
right? The
Is that for
ingredients.
the chemical reaction?
I have no idea.
Is that why the vinegar's in it? Okay.
I mean, it must be, but yeah, I mean, it has to be science. But essentially, it's just you pour all these ingredients into a square pan, put it in the oven, and it comes out like somewhere between a brownie and a chocolate cake. I mean, it tastes really good.
I'm not a huge fan of brownies.
But it's on the dense side of cake.
When it comes
Yeah,
to brownies, though, even though you're not a fan, are you cake brownie or fudge brownie?
Probably fudge brownie more than cake brownie.
Right on. What about you, G-Webs?
10 on the day. You can't go wrong. It's chocolate and it's a brownie, so you can't go wrong.
And
There's
I
right
use
on.
You said fudge though. There's a place in Tombstone that makes fudge. Like Tombstone is nothing but tourist shops or whatever. So there's one that sells fudge. I have no idea if it's fudge like the olden days or not. I just know it's you put it in your mouth and you're just like, holy crap! It's like somebody hit you with a punching bag of feathers or something. You know, it's like bam, you're eating like just your mouth. You know, you're just I don't know if it like falls apart into the ingredients because it feels like there's like essentially butter and chocolate and sugar in your mouth, right? And when you said that, I don't know if I'd want to. I don't really. I guess I don't dig the brownies that are towards that end. I'd rather just eat fudge. So yeah, I think I'd like the cake brownie more because there's a little less. It just tastes like they haven't been cooked all the way when they're fudgy.
Oh yeah, I get that, but and sometimes the consistency echoes that. And because I'm not like when I was a kid, mom making chocolate chip cookies, wanted to scrape the bowl, whatever kind of thing. But I'm just not into that texture anymore, and I don't care for it in like ice cream, like where it's like balls of chocolate chip cookie dough or whatever. But what about you, barbecue? Are you like cake brownie or fudge brownie?
I honestly don't understand the difference. Like, what the hell is a fudge brownie?
Well, that's when they're more like I think of them as undercooked, but they're like really super dense and like almost like candy.
Because I feel like at that point
the
it's
gooey
just
thick stuff you get out of a Duncan Hines
into
box.
a piece of brownie.
Oh, you know
well,
what?
no, they're two different things, but
you get one out of a snack machine in the bag. Like you ever gotten a brownie out of a snack machine?
Are you talking like those shitty little Debbie ones
Yeah,
are
exactly
like
that's a
half
fudge
brick?
brownie.
No, those are disgusting.
That's what we're
that's a
saying.
fudge brownie.
Brownies are just cakes that don't rise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are better. That's the worst version. Those ones in the bag are like obviously the worst version. There are people that put time and effort into it, but people like a gooey brownie. And to me, it just tastes like they didn't finish cooking their brownie.
Oh no, I love a gooey brownie.
And if you make cakes, use cake flour. It is so much better. You get a denser cake. 100 times better than like the Betty Crocker in a box style cake.
No doubt.
I cannot stand to eat those anymore. After I started making cakes myself,
I could still do that.
All my grandma's making stuff. There's no way I'm eating stuff out of a box. It tastes like so.
Well, the original Betty Crocker had everything you needed. You just added water, and all the women, the housewives, complained that it was too easy. It didn't feel like they were doing enough. So they changed it so you had to add oil and eggs.
Oh damn
I
them!
don't know if they complained. I think it's more like they did testing and they figured, oh, here's a simple trick we can do, and they sold like hotcakes.
It's more like cooking.
Bubba
like
said I
baking.
like making mochi, but don't get to do it. My old school anymore. My original hammer and bowels broke, so it's not the same.
What is that? Is that like a whipped tea?
No, it's a ball. What it depends on what kind of mochi. When I hear mochi, I think of the ice cream treat, but mochi is kind of a rice, doughy rice sweet mixture, and you'll see them like in the frozen section sometimes with ice cream in the middle, mochi balls kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So it's like a it's like a not candy, but it's almost like a candy coating.
Kind of. It's hard.
No,
to
it's just in that
describe.
example. It's just used as a covering, but no,
if you took rice and then mashed it up.
But it's a bunch of gluten, right? So it's like chewy.
Yeah.
Well, it's so more like a
Laffy Taffy texture almost. But
dense
not quite.
rice, marshmallow, taffy kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also different consistencies. There are ones that are lighter, more marshmallowy. Like the
Does it melt
marshmallowy ones I kind
like
of
a
like.
marshmallow? I've never ate it, I don't think. Or maybe I have. But I thought it was more like a fondant than a marshmallow. It doesn't
It
melt.
looks like it, and texture is kind of like it. Bubba's saying it's sweet rice dough. Like really stretchy taffy.
I'm even thinking of taffy. So it's like a taffy, but made from a rice base. So
Yeah,
corn.
taffy, but not the texture is different. It's not as hard.
Oh, it's lighter than taffy.
And I've never had them I've never had them homemade. That must be crazy.
Pound it and pound it and pound it. That's what Bubba does. But he broke his bowels, so he can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know if it breaks your bowels. I don't know if that's worth the flavor for all that.
The Scotsman said he's gaining 10 pounds just listening.
Have you ate
Oh,
the drinks that have the bubbles in it, the fish eggs or whatever?
Boba,
the boba tea.
Boba.
I've never ate it. I've seen a bunch of people eat it, but I've never tried
It's
one.
it's just tapioca, isn't it?
Yep.
It sounds gross though. Is it tapioca?
And I mean, but they're infused. Some of them are like some of them.
Oh, you
are,
mean like tapioca pudding? It's just like the balls of tapioca
Yeah.
and tapioca pudding, except huge.
pearls? Yeah.
Does that have flavor? I thought tapioca was just to fill space for the flavor.
I've never had the boba tea, so I don't know what it tastes like. I like tapioca.
Yeah, I mean, and some of them are. They're like liquid in the center, so they like burst like I don't know, like little
okay.
grapes or berries
Like
or whatever.
Fish egg or something.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
I
like
don't
on
that.
here.
But the original bobas are just the large pearls of tapioca.
Oh, okay.
But they like flavor them, and I mean, you can imagine if you have those things, if you have tapioca pearls that are like soaking in. You said you like cherry juice or something like that. That's the way it passes. The flavor is complemented that.
Yeah,
Sounds
that'd be-
hideous.
Yeah, it's a fad. It'll go by the wayside. You know, it's like you used to see Dippin' Dots all over the place. You could still find them for the hardcore
Well,
Dippin' Dots fans.
Dippin'
but
Dots
as a
went bankrupt. That's why they disappeared. And then
didn't know.
Is that the
somebody,
ice
You can only find them at like
Yeah.
amusement parks now.
yeah,
Or something like it.
somebody brought it back, but that's why they disappeared. Is they went bankrupt.
I'd also like to say pudding is disgusting.
Pudding rocks, man.
Pudding's another old fashioned food, and for babies and old people. For babies and old people, it's probably fine.
Oh, but come on, man! Scratch
100%.
banana pudding is so good.
I like
Scratch that. No,
tapioca pudding and rice pudding.
Oh no.
I'm there.
Uh,
Hey
Wait,
man, pass me your
just-
tapioca. I don't know why people don't dig tapioca. How can you be that opposed to that texture or the presence of it?
Hearing
There gotta be
both
some
of
other
those-
foods that are analogs.
made me feel like I was about to vomit, and that's not even an exaggeration.
I just ate them too much when I was a little kid. I don't like them anymore.
I've just never liked pudding.
It's
It was
like,
like almost a delicacy kind of thing when I was a kid.
oh no.
First, the kind of is that seems to always happen is the first time I had tapioca was the best tapioca. My auntie in Samoa, she made tapioca. She had a lemon tree outside. Used leaves off the lemon trees. He gave it a lemony flavor. I have never had tapioca that good ever since.
Damn, that actually sounds interesting. Now I'm wondering, is that a Hawaiian tapioca, or is that just her thing, or is
I don't know. But it was really good. That was the first time I ever had tapioca. But that's like the quiche. First time I had the quiche was the best quiche I ever had, and I've been
come on.
chasing that quiche ever since.
He's ever since.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about that, man. So, like, when it comes to the tapioca, do you prefer yours to be more thick, kind of curd-ish, or the
with-
kind of loose pudding-like?
With tapioca, a little thicker. With rice pudding, a little looser.
Got it.
And then there's a Samoan dish that's kind of like rice pudding ish, and I don't know how to describe it. Then I've had it one version with cocoa, so it was kind of chocolatey, and then there's another version where it's just kind of sugar.
I don't think I've had any kind of sweet rice thing that I've liked. I've eaten them, but I don't think I've like gone back and ordered them again that I can think of.
And Bubba and Scottish American are talking about haggis. And Bubba said
Oh, yeah.
haggis is the worst thing I ever eaten, and Scottish says haggis puts hairs on your nuts. I had a
That's
friend.
just like sausage in a soup type of thing.
Well, it's a barley and oats and entrails and a sheep's stomach.
Yeah.
My friend's dad said the way you make haggis is you take a sheep's stomach, fill it with shit, bury it in the ground, dig it up in a few weeks, throw out the sheep's stomach, and eat the shit.
It is not that bad. Come on now.
I've never
is
had
not that bad.
personally, but
I mean, I've had people, like, I've eaten it in Scotland, not trying to say I've like sat down to the best one ever, at the most cool place or whatever, and a couple of people, expats who live in the States. And if you can get over the organ meat kind of thing, like if you're cool with giblet gravy, like you can have a chicken heart, no problem. You can eat beef liver, no sweat kind of thing. Then it's actually kind of good. Like, and especially because it's like with that grain, and forget about the sheep stomach thing. That's just an ancient preparation. But if you just think of what that loaf is made out of, I mean, yeah, it's the bits, it's the leftover kind of thing. It's how you stretch and
like
make
meatloaf.
work for your
I thought
family.
it was like a stew or a soup. It's a meatloaf.
No, it's not liquidy. No, it's not liquid.
Scotsman
It
said
could be
it's
loose.
like spicy sausage.
Well, that and yeah.
Chicken
Oh,
hearts and turkey hearts
is it a
aren't bad.
sausage or is it a meatloaf?
Meatloaf.
It's a meatloaf in a sausage in a casing.
Wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in an enigma.
And then it shoots at you like a bat out of hell.
If anybody's complaining about
Turducken.
what's in a sausage, then you can't eat any sausage because no sausage is made out of anything good. It's all made out of gross shit. So
Sausage
I thought it was a
incredible.
My philosophy is if I like the way it tastes, I don't question anything else about it.
Exactly.
That can be hard to maintain, though, when somebody tells you, "Oh, did you know that you just ate?" Kind of thing.
What about
Especially when you're a
menudo?
kid. It's like, don't trick me with food. That's like cruel. It's like trick people with food.
You guys know what menudo is? Menudo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Menudo. Don't.
So I thought haggis was like a Swedish version of that. So, or whatever they are. Scottish version of that. Sorry. So it's not a loose thing. So what do you guys think about menudo? Do you eat that?
I don't like the tripe.
I had a friend, his wife was Filipino, and she would make menudo, but he would, he was a hunter, so she would make like moose and elk menudo, which was good. It's not, I'm not going to buy it myself, but when they would have it, I'd eat it. It was good.
I thought Menudo was a Mexican band.
Ever-changing boy band.
It is.
Yeah.
I think they named it after that soup for some reason.
Oh, hang on here. Let's do this. GearWebsites.com for your 2A related t-shirts, patches, stickers, books, posters. He does web design, web consulting, 3D printing, maybe do some shirt printing here, t-shirt printing coming up soon, maybe. You name it, he can consult it, design it, or help you out with it. GearWebsites.com. And there is still, I believe the comment periods are still going on. They're through December, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
December 4th? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
For the black powder storage, and the ATF is looking to expand who needs to get an FFL. which might encompass just regular people trying to sell their stuff off. So I forgot to put links for that in the description, but go over and leave a comment. Let your voice be heard.
Look it up on the Federal Register. I'm sorry I can't drop links tonight. I'm down.
No, that's fine. It was my fault for not being prepared. I forgot. Anything you want to plug, DJ?
Absolutely. Tomorrow on the She Fires channel, there's a conversation that she hosts called the Fireside Chats. Check that out if you haven't before. On Tuesday night, the guy over there in the other corner, man, Guns and Barbecue's got a show. Everybody you know, send them that way. It's going to be a good one. Till I see everybody else again, be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock.
Barbecue. You want to plug anything?
I got nothing really. Last episode of Amphi is on Tuesday night, so be there or be square. But I'm gonna make like a tree and split. Thanks for the invite.
Well, thanks for coming on. G-Webs. Anything you want to plug? Or mention?
We'll do a knife show in the morning.
Do you know what time?
No. Whatever time I wake up, I guess. I haven't set it up yet.
So everybody, is it going to be on the gun websites or both?
Probably both, yeah.
So go over to gun websites or gear websites on YouTube's right now and wait. Wait for him to start it up.
That's a good idea.
He'll be there eventually.
Way ahead of you.
Guns and Water sneaking in here at the end. So once again, if you watch this in replay, leave a comment, which I don't think I said at the beginning, but leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree. Tell me your favorite cracker. I always read the comments. I do appreciate when people interact. You know, that's what makes this fun. Those who were out there in the side chat, chatting her up, thank you. And if you were watching and didn't say anything, I do appreciate you too for hanging out with us, and hopefully you had a good time. Next week will be an overnight, and I don't know what we're going to talk about. I had thought of something, but like always, if I don't write it down immediately, I forget. So we'll talk about something, probably 2A related. We'll see. And other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night, and go do something. I'll go do something good.